Hi, good morning. In today's video, we're going to talk about the concept of the white savior complex. It is a term that you may or may not be familiar with. It gets thrown around a lot as criticism of a lot of the work that gets done in the aid sector. Some of the criticism is totally legit. Some of it is really not legit. So in the video, we're going to define what it is and look at a case study of how the white savior complex can actually be really detrimental, and then talk a little bit about how we should think about the urgency of trying to help and the needs that exist around the world and what we should actually be doing. So here we go. Right, so at its core, white savior complex refers to the idea of a white person from a Western country, Europe, America, somewhere, swooping into a completely unknown context. Usually it's Africa or Latin America, somewhere poor, somewhere where there's sort of darker skinned people, swooping in to try and save the local population from whatever turmoil they happen to be in. And the motivation and the name actually originates from, unsurprisingly, sort of the evangelizing and conquistadoring that the white people did around the world, trying to, spread the name of the Lord. And today it's used much more broadly than that. A typical scenario is, a white woman on a social media with photos surrounded by little African faces. And I have to say, guilty as charged in my younger days. And not to harp on about the stereotype, but I have to point out that the stereotype is, generally a white woman surrounded by African children. And shout out to my new favorite Instagram account, Barbie Savior, which really captures this really well. Sort of the idea of clueless people coming in and doing something and then posting a lot about it on social media to sort of get fame and fortune or whatever it is, followers. That is the epitome of the white savior complex. So the motivations for people to do this kind of, quote unquote work or volunteer tourism, whatever it is, there can be manifold. I mean, some of it is still religious based, like I have to, in order to get into heaven, I have to go and do this thing, be nice to people. Some of it is self-soothing, self-serving, self-soothing, like you want to feel good about yourself. Some of it is genuinely coming from a good place, but not executed in a really good way. And then some of it is just like plain and simple, like derogatory, prejudicial, like, yeah, I know better. I live in a Western world and I know how things should be in these other places. So I'm going to come in and do that. Let's look at a concrete example of how and when the white savior complex can actually be detrimental. The case of working with street children in Zambia. We're speaking with Director of Home of Hope, Jacek Rogowski. Home of Hope is an emergency placement shelter for boys displaced from their homes in Zambia.
Wanted to finish with the situation when someone wakes up in the morning believing that he had apparition of whatever deity he or she believes in, Jesus or Allah or Buddha, who told them start working with street children, and without any understanding of the situation, of the causes of the problem and what happens when kids are on the street. They go and they perform some actions. Most of them are counterproductive and just make the problem worse.
Okay, can you explain that? How?
Uh, how? That I hope you have.
Because most people, like white people like me, would think that you see a street child, you see a poor little African cute child on the street, obviously you want to help, so you give them money. That's you be your first instinct.
You give money, or you give food,
yeah.
or you organize games, or you organize education under the tree.
Yeah. So explain why that's counterproductive.
Yeah. First, your presumptions or initial assessment is non-existent. You have no knowledge about the reasons why particular child and the group are there.
Yeah.
You do not understand. We presume these kids come from bad families, and because they run away, that's it. We help them.
Yeah.
But again, you help them to do what? working over 20 years on the street, I have never seen a child and a young man that after spending 5, 10, 15 years on the street, magically he becomes, well-regulated and responsible adult that begins to work and provide for his family. It's not going to happen. Street always ends with distraction. Always. So whichever action when we go to the street, whichever actions we perform, we should avoid any actions that prolong the stay of the child on the street. We have to avoid that. And because the object of those actions are real lives, are real human beings, children. And if we don't know what we are doing, we are going to be the cause for their demise. Because eventually they will follow one of the three ways. If we do not remove child from the street, being what should be the main goal, there are only three roads remaining that this child will take. One will take you to mental asylum.
Yeah.
You will go crazy from, risky life,
drugs,
STIs and drugs. Mainly syphilis. You will go crazy and you will be in mental institution. The second road will lead you to prison because you will commit crime. You will become 18 and no one will give you free pass after stealing or assault. You will be incarcerated. So mental institution, the second is prison. And the last, unfortunately quite common, you will be in the graveyard because either your friends will kill you or you will be hit by a car. And we have to know that. I could never comprehend people who keep giving money to the same child, the same traffic child, every day when they commute to work. And they continue believing that they're helping.
Yeah.
He is still there.
You're perpetuating.
How are you helping? You are not helping. When child can learn that I can make 100, 200 kwacha every day by just looking miserable and extending my hand, that child is not going to go back to the family, is not going to go back to school. Because children are selfish. They are motivated by immediate gain. And once they learn that, we cannot get them out.
There's no incentive to stop.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we've heard from Jacek a real life scenario about how detrimental the consequences of sort of this like white savior complex actions can be. So the question is, how should we do this? Like, what should we be doing? The first thing that I would say is definitely have a good deep think and interrogate your motives for wanting to do this kind of work, whether it's or tourism, like whether it's volunteerism or faith-based work or going to work for an aid organization or an NGO. Like, have a good hard think about why you want to be doing this. Is it for altruistic reasons, or is it really more to feel good about yourself? Because if it is to feel good about yourself, there are other ways that you can do that without sort of going through the process that you need to go through in order to actually be effective at this kind of work. So once you've interrogated that and you come out on the other end and you're like, yeah, no, I feel like a calling to do this because I feel like I have some skills or capacity that or time or energy that I could use to help in whatever way, then the second thing to do is to do your research about local organizations. Firstly, the context, in whatever context, whatever field, whatever theme that resonates with you, whether it's refugees or children or women or sexual and gender-based violence. It could be rule of law, access to justice, whatever it is. Do the research about that theme in the context that you think that you want to be going to work in. And then an extra layer is do research about what is already going on. Who are the people that are already engaged in the kind of work happening there? This is all really easily done these days with different AI tools. I mean, ChatGPT Deep Research is like one of them that could give you like a summary of the context and the organizations within about 2 milliseconds. So there's really no reason that you can't do this pretty quickly and get a lay of the landscape. And then once you have that, you can do more in-depth research about the various organizations that have been brought up, follow up with them, make contact with them, and really get to know yeah, the situation before you launch into either even trying to donate, right? Because you want to know obviously that your money is going to where it's needed. So firstly, question why you want to do this. Secondly, do your homework both on the context and on organizations that already exist. AI is an amazing tool for all of this. Thirdly, take up correspondence either directly with the organizations. If you have questions and you want to shoot me an email, I'm happy to try and answer whatever I can. My specialty is generally sub-Saharan Africa, but I can do homework on other places. And then once you've done that, then you can make it like a very conscious decision about how it is that you want to take it from here, whether it's donations or whether it is in fact sort of volunteerism. Some organizations like the Home of Hope are very open to having volunteers come and visit, but you have to, that it also needs to be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. So yeah, let's avoid the white savior complex. We can still do good or still try and do good in a way that's not patronizing, in a way that really is motivated by the good, fighting the good cause. And again, there's so much need out there that we should really be doing this, but doing it from a good place. So thanks. I hope you enjoyed the video and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.